Hello, 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 hello. How are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today I have a little project for us. This is just a cute little folio, um, and it just has a little notebook that you can add to it. So this is, of course, the mock-up. We're going to do an actual one, piece by piece by piece, and get it done. So I'm going to get out some supplies, and I will be right back with all of the things that we're going to need to create this and all the way to the end, okay? I'll be right back. All right, let's go over some tools. You're going to want ink and dauber if you want to ink this project. You're going to need your scoreboard, your score tools, a cutting board, some elastic. This is some, like, it's not quite a quarter of an inch. It's like somewhere between a quarter and an eighth, in a color that complements your paper. You're going to want your eyelets and something to set those with, a pair of scissors, a ruler, corner rounder, some paper to decorate with, and something for your base. Now I'm using these old vintage styled hanging file folders, and I just cut the tops off of them so I can use them. Get this out of the way. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to cut all of our pieces and parts first. So I'm going to clear my desk, get the cutter set up, and we're going to get started cutting everything. We're going to cut the pieces and the mats all together, and we're going to be adding some paper in here. So I'm going to get out some paper that I want to put in a notebook, and I'll be right back. So let's start by making sure we have some straight edges. So we know the sides are straight. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the fold, and then I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to cut it to 7 1/4 inches. There. By 9. And then I'm going to cut the second piece at 6 1/2 by 6 3/4. So 6 1/2 by 6 3/4. That's our first two pieces. And then we're going to need one more piece. And this one needs to be 7 3/4 by 3. And that is a little too short, so I'm just going to use a scrap. Let's see if I have one that will work. Maybe this one. Yep, that's going to work. So we're going to get it to 3. And I'm going to cut it a little wide because I want to make sure that both sides are straight. By 7 3/4. Okay. All right, so these are all the pieces for our base. All right, and we're going to put these to the side because next we're going to cut mats. And I have some pretty music paper we can use. So we're going to use this. And we're going to start off, we need 3 mats that are 7 inches by 3 inches. So let's cut 7 inches. And these are 7 inches tall by 3 inches wide. And since this paper is very directional, I'm going to make sure that I keep on top of this. So 7 by 3. That's 2. And we need one more. So that is going to be 7 by 3. And then we're going to need one piece that is 2 pieces that are 7 inches long way by 1 5/8. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this at 7, and then the 1 5/8 I'm going to cut on a different cutter because you can't see it on this one. Okay, so that's going to be my 1 7/8. All right, now back to these. I need a piece that is 7 by 2 1/2. Then I'm going to need a piece that's 7 by 3 1/4. That's just a hair too small, so we'll do this one. 7 by 3 1/4. One of those. And then we're going to need 4 pieces that are 6 1/2 inches by 3. Okay? So I'm going to grab another piece of paper. I'm going to cut this to 6 1/2. And then we're going to cut those down, those 3-inch pieces. Three, and 3. Okay. So that is all of our mats. I'm going to get this out of the way and I'll be right back. All right, so the last thing we need to cut are those 2 pieces that are 7 by 1 5/8. So 1 5/8 is one line. It's the big line between 1 1/2 and 1 3/4. So we're going to cut 2 of those. There we go. So we now have 2 of those. Okay, so we're going to bring in our pieces real quick, and I'm just going to clip these together and set them to the side because right now we don't need them and I don't want to lose any of them. So now we're going to move on to doing some scoring. And we're going to start on the large piece with the long end in the scoreboard. We're going to be scoring this at, ready? Okay. We're going to score it at 3. A couple of light scores is always better than score it at 3. Then we're going to come out and score at 6 3/4. And then every notch till we get to 7 1/4. So you should be scoring 5 lines over here. That's it for this piece. Set it to the side. Then we're going to bring in the other piece. We're going to put it in here on the side that is at 6 1/2. And we're going to score this at 3 1/4. And then we're going to bring in our tall skinny piece, and we're going to put that in there long ways. We're going to score at 1/4 of an inch, and then down at 7.5. Okay? That's it for the scoring. So now we're going to do a little folding. We're going to take all of our valleys and turn them into hills. So we're going to line all these up. We're going to make sure that everything's lined up right, and then we're going to burnish all of those. On that skinny piece, we're just going to turn these in and burnish them. Turn that in and burnish it. And then on this one, we're going to fold that first flap, burnish it, and then we're going to use a ruler. I like to use my metal ruler for this. I'm going to come up here and I am going to go to the first score line and I'm going to push it up. Then I'm going to move my ruler to the next score line and push it up. And what I'm doing is creating that curve at the top of the folio. So that when we put this up, you get that, see how we have that nice rounded curve? We want that. Okay. Now, I'm going to be using a corner rounder to round the corners on my folio. I'm going to round the corners on my little notebook piece. And that means that I'm going to be rounding the corners on on these as well, okay? All right, next. We're making a notebook like this. So I'm going to get some lined paper. Let me grab a bundle. There we go. And this is just something that I took out of a stitched notebook, and it is 4 3/4 inches wide when it's folded by 6.5, which is actually the exact height that I want for my notebook. So I'm just going to cut this down to 3 inches wide. So I'm going to get out the big trimmer. Put this in. I'm going to put my fold at 3 inches. And I'm just going to take that off. Now I'm going to keep that because it makes for good pad paper for later. But now I have my notebook paper. So I have my notebook paper, I have my decorating paper, and I have my folio pieces. I am going to go and ink all of this, rounding all my corners, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to start putting this thing together. I'll be right back. Okay, so now that we have everything cut and done and inked, we're going to get this sorted out. So the 2 skinny long pieces go with that piece. The 1 really fat tall piece goes with that. The 3 pieces that are tall go with that. The skinny tall one goes over here, and the 4 pieces that are the same size go over here. We're going to get rid of this piece and this piece, and we're going to worry about this one, okay? So the first thing we're going to be doing here is we're going to turn this over, and we're going to put the biggest piece on the back. It goes right here in the back middle part, okay? And then one of these pieces is going to go right here. Now, let's be careful, okay? We don't want to put something on upside down. Now, tape for this is perfectly acceptable because there's no stress. There are some parts of this where tape is not a good thing. All right, so we're going to start on our left. Making sure that my paper's going in the right direction. Then my middle piece. Again, we want to make sure that it's in the right direction. We want to make sure that we have an equal spacing top and bottom and side to side. Okay? Press that down, and then we're going to turn this over. I'm going to put that small flap on the right. And I'm going to go ahead and put the middle one down with tape, but I am going to glue the outside. The reason I'm going to glue the outside one is because you can put an optional pocket on here, and so I want to make sure that this one is well adhered. And for the environment that I live in the desert, glue is always a better alternative. Okay? Making sure that I have my writing in the right direction. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and place one of these over here, and then one on the outside as well. Again, glue, tape, doesn't matter, but this is an area that's going to get a lot of movement, so I'm going to use glue. Okay. Go ahead and give these a good press. Now, that part is fantastic. We're going to set this to the side. We're going to bring in this piece. And again, we want to make sure that when this goes in, that the notes are going in the right direction. So we want to make sure that we've got it going, you know, doesn't really matter because you can turn it either way, but we want to make sure that we've got it in a direction we understand is to be the top. This is going to get a lot of use. So again, I'm going to use glue as opposed to tape here. When in doubt, glue. All right, we're going to put this on here. Just like that. That's going to set over to the side to dry, and we're going to bring over the notebook. Okay? Now again, we're going to put these 4 pieces on, and then we're going to put in this. So go ahead and put these 4 pieces on, and then come back, and we'll talk about getting this in, okay? Because we're going to use some linen thread and things like that. So I'll be right back. All right, so we have our paper in. We're going to put in our notepad. And to do this, we're just going to make sure that we have it evenly spaced top to bottom. We're going to open it up at the center. Now, this is one of those situations where I say, do as I say and not as I do, okay? I'm going to clip that in there. Now, I don't normally do that, but, you know, because this is a beginner's video. I'm going to. All right, we're going to do a 3-hole on this. I usually use a 5, but with something as simple as this, 3-hole works. So we're going to put 1 hole in the center, straight down. Then we're going to do one about an inch from the top and about an inch from the bottom. Okay? And you want your holes to come out right along that seam. See that? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stitch this in. And to do that, we're going to use some linen, waxed linen thread. And it looks like this. And the reason I like it is because as you pull it through and you work it, the wax tends to melt just a little bit and it combines. Now you're going to want a needle that's big enough to take the thread but small enough to go through the hole. I use a very long one so that everybody can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to thread this through just enough to hold it on. It doesn't have to go all the way through. And I'm going to bring the camera down. All right. So we're going to start, most people start on the inside, but I'm going to start on the outside because I want my threads on the outside. So I'm going to put my needle through the hole, bring it up, and I'm going to leave a good portion of my thread on the outside. If you don't think that you can remember to not pull this, put a clamp on it. Then I'm going to go, doesn't matter which direction I go. I'm going to go down, bring my thread through, and then I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and come back up through. Okay? So that I have this one really nice long stitch on the outside, and I'm going to have 2 small stitches on the inside because I'm going to go right back down through that center hole again. And at this point, I'm going to make sure that I have that center thread between my 2 threads. Okay? And then I'm going to tie it right over left, left over right. And then I'm just going to snip my threads where I want them cut. And that's it. Take off my clamps, and I have my notebook. Okay? All right, so for this next part, we're going to be working on the outside. Okay? The outside, the center piece closest to the small flap. All right? And we are going to be coming in from that outside edge at 3 inches, and then we want to go down about an inch. And we're going to put a little mark. Same thing on the other side. Can't even see my mark. Well, that's just scary. Let's try that again. There it is. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to punch holes where we made those marks. See? Okay. Now, all right, so now that we have holes, we're going to get some elastic. And this is really thin. It's like right between an eighth. It's like right at an eighth of an inch, okay? This does not have to be overly strong, overly thick, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to thread this into our holes. From the top down in, okay? And then I'm going to put my eyelet into the hole. And I'm going to come around and I'm going to set this eyelet, okay? I'm going to use a back piece just to give this a little bit better stability. Now remember, it's going to be very snug getting this all set together because you have that piece of elastic in there, okay? All right, I've got that, I've got that. I've got my pliers, here we go. We're going into the eyelet. We're going to put the post up through the center. Whew, that was scary. All right, and then we're going to take this, we're going to wrap it around and over to this side where we're going to put it through. Now, we don't want to pull this tight. We just want it, you know, there. And again, we're going to put an eyelet in the hole, turn it over, and then I'm going to put a cap on this eyelet here. Just really just a gasket kind of thing. It's a little piece that goes around, and it helps to kind of hold it all together. There we go. All right, I'm going to push that down. I'm going to double check that my elastic is not curved. And then I'm going to go in again. Oop, wrong way. Put my eyelet on the post and squeeze. All right. Then I'm going to cut this off. And I'm going to cut this off. And then I'm going to take that around the outside. Okay. Wow. All right. Now we're going to bring in that little slide piece that looks like this. And this is actually going to be what we use to cover that up. So, a little bit of glue on the bottom. We're lining up on that first of the 5 score lines. And then we're going to do the other side. Okay. Now, as always with file folders, I'm going to use my bone folder to press this down. And the next thing is putting in the notebook, which you can glue this part if you want to. You don't have to. This isn't going to go anywhere. But there's that part, and if you want to add that extra pocket, I'll be right back to show you how. All right, so to add that little piece of that extra little piece of pocket that you want, you're going to cut a piece of paper to as tall as you want the pocket to be. For me, I'm going to say that's 3.5. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a slash pocket. I like that. And then I'm going to take my piece of paper. I'm going to double my height, double my depth. And then I'm going to put my line. I'm going to cut that off. Cut this piece off. I think I'm going to take a little bit more off of here just so I can get this to where I like it. And then I'm going to ink this. And I'm going to round my corners to match the corners that I already have. So I'm going to round the corner on this, and then I'm going to round the corner on this. I'm going to ink this up. And then we're going to glue these down. Go. And then I'm going to bring the book back in. And we're just going to glue this into the corner. Bone folder. And that is it. You know, a little bit of elastic there to hold that all together, and you have a little notebook in there and a pocket that you can put stuff into so that you have, you know, paper with you and a place to put your receipts. All right, that's it, guys. That's all I have for you. Just a real simple, easy beginner's folio. If you have any questions, put them in the discussion box below, or you can email me or instant message me on Facebook, however you want to reach out, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Other than that, if you want to know what I got going on in the world, check out my Facebook group or my community tab here on YouTube, and it will give you a listing of everything that I have going on. Okay? Until I see you again, stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.